What's going on, everybody? What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch back here with another NFL free agency live stream. This is the third of the day, third live stream for March 14th, 2022. We are doing it live once again. And in this live stream, I'm going to break down all of the signings that I haven't already reacted to. So everything from J.C. Jackson joining the Chargers to the Dolphins making a couple moves and a lot more. We've got a lot of stuff happening even later on in free agency. So I'm going to go team by team and break down their moves signing by signing. So if you guys want to help out and support the channel, don't forget to spike that like button and also subscribe to the channel for more BLV NFL free agency just like this, reacting to all the signings, all the moves. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments and I will be sure to answer your questions. What's going on, everybody? Hopefully you're doing well. Ladarius, what's up? What's up, Lenny? How you doing, man? Let me know how you're doing. Don't forget to spike the like button. Also, I left the TikTok link in the pinned comment on the live chat. So if you guys are on TikTok, don't forget to give me a follow. I did a few TikToks today reacting to some of the signings. And actually, I reacted to some of the signings on TikTok before I did on YouTube. So if you want exclusive short little videos of me reacting to free agency and a lot more moving forward, then make sure that you follow that TikTok in the pinned comment section. What's up, A-Pixel? How you doing? M-Walk, what's up? Chris Davis, what's going on? Bus, what's up, man? Nathan Tobias, hey, what's going on? Who's your top 5 trades and worst trades? I don't know. How many trades have we had? Have we even had 5 trades yet this offseason? Do you mean signings? I don't know if you mean signings, but we'll get to evaluating all the signings down the road in terms of like my favorite moves, my least favorite moves. We'll get to that when free agency wraps up. We're still a far ways away. This is just day 1 of free agency. Tomorrow, I will also be live. Tomorrow, I don't think I'll be live earlier in the day. I think I'm going to make videos throughout the day, and then I will go live later in the day, I think. I don't know. It's up to you guys. If you guys want me to go live during the day, then let me know. It's really whatever you guys think's best, but I'll think about it. What's going on, Nick? Thanks, guys, for joining. Let's kick it off with this, okay? So I want to talk about the Jacksonville Jags first. Now, I've already broken down all their moves pretty much in previous live streams, and I'll be releasing videos for all of these reactions that I've already had. But the latest signing that they've made was Zay Jones. Okay, so Zay Jones on a 3-year deal, $30 million, $24 million base. Okay? Zay Jones, who's a number 3 wide receiver in the NFL, I would say. I actually like Zay Jones, right? I think he's a quality player. I like him as a possession receiver. I thought he had a pretty good season for the Raiders. He had his best season since 2018 with the Buffalo Bills. And I like him as a depth wide receiver. Now, on Jacksonville, I'm not sure which role he's going to play. I think he's going to play... So they lost Chark, right? They still got Marvin Jones. They signed Christian Kirk, so those are their top 3, I should say. Then they signed Evan Ingram, their tight end. Then they got Zay Jones. And they also have Shenault. So that's like 4 or 5 receiving options right there. They give Zay Jones a 3-year, $30 million deal, $24 million base. Jacksonville has been confusing. I released this take on TikTok, so make sure you guys check out the TikTok. But Jacksonville's been confusing today. I've enjoyed some of their moves. I think the Aluakon move I enjoyed. I liked. You know, a lot of people were reacting to it, especially a specific crowd saying that they overpaid for him. Personally, don't get caught up in his PFF grade. I think he's an excellent football player. He's exactly what you want at the linebacker position in this day and age. He's athletic. He can cover. He can move and flow sideline to sideline. He's a great tackler. The only thing that he is not is big, but he doesn't really have to be big. He also played in a system similar to the one that Jacksonville is running under Dean Pease in Atlanta. So I like that signing the most. It was quite a bit of money, but you got to understand that Oluokun, I believe, is 26 years old. He led the NFL in tackles. He was going to go for a lot of money. Okay, so I think he's worth the money. Now, it's a little bit much, but you got to understand with Jacksonville, they're going to give a lot of money because Jacksonville's not a very good team. I don't know if you guys know that, but they only won 3 games last year. So whenever you suck, you've got to give players more money than maybe they're even worth to get those players to come to you. This is what I was saying all offseason. You know, people in the comments of my predictions videos saying, oh, well, the Detroit Lions are going to sign this guy and that guy and this guy. Well, only if they give that player way more money than that player probably is getting from a good team. You know what I mean? So that's what Jacksonville had to do to make these moves. I appreciate that Jacksonville is trying to get better. They're trying to add talent to their team, very much so as New England did last year. Okay? But some of the moves have been a bit questionable. Zay Jones' contract feels like a bit much to me. And again, I like Zay Jones. Quality depth receiver, good possession receiver, still fairly young. I want to say he's about 27, maybe 26. But he's not your number 1. He's not your number 2. I don't even know if he's your number 3. And you're giving him 3 years, $30 million. 3 years, $24 million. So you're paying him, let's say, $8 million a year. For your 4th receiver? Your 5th receiving option? Feels like a lot of money. Now, you also look at Christian Kirk. We talked about it. Christian Kirk, I like as a football player. I don't love as a football player. I think that he is a solid number 2 receiver. He's not a number 1. And here's the problem. You're paying him as a number 1. You're paying Christian Kirk as a number 1, you know, somewhere between $17 and $21 million a year. That's a lot of money for Christian Kirk. He's a good slot receiver. The confusing part is you also get Evan Ingram. Now, Evan Ingram, 1 year, I want to say $10 million, is it? $9 million? Contract's not bad. Okay, 1 year, $9 million, sure, whatever. And I like the fit in the offense. Evan Ingram can take up like a Zach Ertz type role for Doug Peterson. You're going to move him around. And that's why I thought he was going to go to Indianapolis, you know, work under Frank Reich, work within that scheme, work within that offense. I thought that was a good fit. That's why I had him going to Indianapolis. Instead, he goes to Jacksonville, same coaching staff, all that stuff. So I was sort of accurate. And I think it's a good fit. But you sign Christian Kirk to $20 million a year. And then you sign Evan Ingram, who are playing the same role. So are you designing Christian Kirk to play on the outside, on the perimeter, a place where he doesn't usually play that much? Because Christian Kirk has been a slot receiver all of last year. You know, he plays on the perimeter a little bit, but mostly in the slot. So how is that going to work? You have a tight end now who doesn't really block, can't block. He's basically a glorified slot receiver. And you've got a slot receiver being paid number 1 money. So that is very conflicting to me. You add talent, but you don't necessarily get better through these moves, in my opinion, because it's going to hurt you in the long run. Now, I do like the Brandon Scherf move. It's a lot of money for a guard, but I think he's a very good player. He's an all-pro player, so I like the move. I like the Foley Fatukasi move. I think he helps the run defense, but again, a lot of money. Like, you're paying a run-stuffing D lineman a lot of money. 3 years, $30 million. Essentially the same contract you're giving Zay Jones. So, I'm conflicted with Jacksonville. They're dishing out a lot of money, and they're getting better, but I don't think it's also a wise usage of your salary. It's not a wise usage of your salary cap. That's why it's conflicting. That's why it's difficult for me to really evaluate. I would say that they've filled some holes and gotten more talented, but it's going to hurt them in the long run. So Yeah, Zay Jones is the latest of those signings. Like the player, I think he's a number 3 receiver in the NFL. He's likely to be the number 4 or number 5 on your depth chart. And despite that, you're still handing out money when you could use it in other areas. You could use it on your secondary. You could use it on your DN position. You could use it on your offensive line. Instead, you give it to Zay Jones. I would have liked this player on a different team a lot more. So that's my thoughts on Jacksonville. Very interesting team today. They've been the team taking the headlines as they have the most signings, the most wealth of signings. Maybe not the best signings, but the most quantity of signings. Guys, if you're just joining the chat, don't forget to Gronk spike that like button. What's going on? Plan B. Nathaniel, what's up, man? Natasha is in the chat, as always. Nathaniel says, hey, Natasha. Sweet, I love you very much. I'm so happy we're both Patriots fans. Nathaniel, big fan of Natasha in the chat. Lego My Ego says, breaking news, the Chargers are just signing Antonio Brown. And making fun of the Chargers getting absolutely every big high-profile name. Nicholas Gill wants to see a live stream during the day. And Ultra! Everybody give Ultra a hand! He made it! He's in the chat! He's in the chat! Give Ultra a hand! Give him a hand! Let Ultra know that we appreciate him in the chat. Alright. So that's the Jags. Nothing else to be said about that team. They're the Jags. They continue to do this year after year after year. Thoughts on the Packers? They haven't really done anything, so I can't really give you many thoughts, to be honest. But yeah. Okay. I'll just say this. Packers, I like that they re-signed Devondre Campbell. That was really the one move that they made today. So that's cool. What's up, GSP? Okay, let's move on to another team in Florida, the Miami Dolphins. Also, guys, I'm only covering fresh signings, signings from other teams. So if you want to hear my thoughts on a re-signing, then just ask me if you want, ask me about your team or whatever. For example, I'm not going to be covering Carlton Davis to the Bucs because we know how he fits on that team. But if you want me to cover it, then let me know. Okay, so the Miami Dolphins made quite a few moves today. The latest of which, we've got Cedric Wilson signing a 3-year contract, $22.8 million deal. That includes $12.75 million guaranteed with the Miami Dolphins. Cedric Wilson will be playing. Cedric Wilson, quality wide receiver from the Dallas Cowboys, oftentimes filling in for Michael Gallup a year ago. As the Cowboys' number 3 wide receiver, and I would say number 4 target in the passing game when you talk about Lamb, Cooper, Schultz, and then Wilson. But Wilson impressed me. He's got solid size, decent speed, although he's not known for his speed, but he's a decent blend of size and speed. He's a classic Kyle Shanahan-esque wide receiver, runs pretty solid routes, tough on the inside, can take a hit, making a play over the middle, and basically all he did last year was play in the slot. He doesn't really play on the outside, although he does seem to fit the physical profile of an outside perimeter receiver. The Cowboys did not utilize him in that fashion. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fits on Miami, as Jalen Waddle plays a lot in the slot, but maybe they move Jalen Waddle around a little bit more. Now, Miami currently on their roster has Jalen Waddle and Devontae Parker, although I'm not sure their plans for Devontae Parker, if he's sticking around or not. Regardless, you've got those two. Mike Gesicki appears to be back at tight end. Surprised a little bit by that. They were able to tender him. And then you've got Wilson, who's probably your number 3 now at the wide receiver position. Can block a little bit, can run routes, he's got good, reliable hands. And he just made plays at the right time for the Cowboys last year. Nothing flashy, nothing insanely incredible, but a pretty solid contract here. 3 years, $22.8 million. Very similar player to Zay Jones, who got 3 years, $30 million. So I would say that's a quality contract for Cedric Wilson. I think Wilson and Zay Jones are about very similar players, actually, and very similar quality, in my opinion. Also very similar age. So they get the better end of that deal, and they get a quality depth wide receiver that can make plays over the middle of the field for Tua and also contribute as a well-rounded receiver for this offense. And then you've got Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater signed a 1-year contract with Miami today to back up Tua for this season. I tweeted out and I said, hey, the Miami Dolphins found a quarterback who actually has a lesser arm than Tua. That is an achievement in itself. And Dolphins fans, I'm just bugging ya. I'm just joshing, but not really. Teddy Bridgewater doesn't have a great arm, and neither does Tua. But that's exactly why I like the move, okay? Because they're similar players. Obviously, Tua's younger. Tua's better at this point than Teddy is. But Teddy is a smart guy. Teddy is a reliable player. Teddy has plenty of experience in the NFL. Teddy has experience in this scheme and offense. Teddy has experience in a lot of different offenses. Teddy wins games across his tenure in the NFL. And he's a guy that's going to go out there and he's not going to lose you games as a backup. He's going to come in, make the throws when they're there, but not exactly try to go outside the box and make the big time plays because physically he really can't. He can't really move very well anymore, and his arm isn't there to the elite level of making incredible throws. But as a guy that could replace Tua every once in a while if Tua goes down or for some reason you have to pull him for whatever reason, then Bridgewater can step in and make the throws within this offense with a very similar, short to intermediate passing ability that Tua has, right? So you get a veteran quarterback who can mentor the young quarterback that's your starter, that's similar to your young quarterback, so that if he gets hurt, he can fill in. And he's just a well-respected guy in the locker room who a lot of people like. So those are all positives to Teddy being a backup. I'm not the biggest fan of Teddy being a starter anymore, but you can tell that in my change of tone here, I like Teddy as a backup because I think he has a lot of good things as a backup. I don't think he's a great starter. There's a major difference in that conversation, but he's a nice backup to have because he's not going to be dramatic. He's going to, know his role, and if you need him, he can step in and play. So Teddy Bridgewater, 1-year contract to Miami. The final move for the Dolphins today is Keon Crossan, 3 years, $10.5 million. It's $3.5 annually. Keon Crossan, formerly of the Houston Texans and the New England Patriots, played quite a bit for the Texans this past year as a cornerback. I believe that this seems a little bit rich, in my opinion, for a player that's mostly of special teams value, 3.5 annually. This might be the worst contract of all of them for Miami. But what Crossan does offer is obviously scheme experience, playing both in New England and now Miami. He's going to have some carryover there for the scheme. Both in New England and Miami are very similar. He's a decent man coverage corner, and he's a very good gunner on special teams because he's very, very fast. So what Crossan is going to be able to offer you is in certain matchups versus certain wide receivers, you can match him up with speedy wide receivers and have him play man coverage as a number 4 cornerback. I wouldn't want him as anything more than a number 4. If you're asking him to be a number 3, that might be a little bit much, and I wouldn't love that as a move. But as a depth corner and a special teams player, I think he's a solid one, and he's extremely fast. So you get speed in your secondary for Keon Crossan to the Dolphins. So that's the Miami Dolphins. Coach says Zay Jones 30 mil, WTF. Hey, that's just what people are doing nowadays. Hold on. Texans agreed to terms with 2 key linemen, Justin Britt and AJ Cann. Okay, so AJ Cann is a signing from Jacksonville. KJ Britt was their center last year. Let me see if anything else has happened. Nope. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. Thoughts on the Smith brothers? Well, Zadarius Smith's gone. Preston Smith back on a restructure, I believe. Zadarius Smith, I'm intrigued to see where he goes. Hopefully New England, but that's just my opinion on that. Okay, let's get to the next team. We've got the Chargers. The Chargers are making all the moves. Chargers. Starting off with J.C. Jackson. The LA Chargers have landed arguably the top free agent of the 2022 NFL free agency class. J.C. Jackson signs a 5-year, $82.5 million deal that has $40 million guaranteed. So Derwin James and J.C. Jackson were high school teammates and were teasing the team up all day long. So it's happening now. J.C. Jackson and Derwin James, I didn't know this before today, went to high school together and played football at high school together. So they will be teaming up in LA in the Chargers secondary, which is pretty awesome and a very cool story for Brandon Staley. We already know that Khalil Mack will be teaming up with Joey Bosa. So this is about to be one of, if not the most dominant pass defense in the NFL, with Staley scheming it up with Derwin James at safety, Nasir Adderley, Asante Samuel Jr., Michael Davis, J.C. Jackson, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. You've got a dominant pass defense, maybe the best in football, as I've stated. J.C. Jackson, when you look at the contract, it's a lot of money, but I think it's honestly cheap. I think $40 million guaranteed is a big key number that he wanted for this contract, but considering that he is still only the 6th highest paid corner in the NFL, and it's the same contract almost as Byron Jones got a couple years ago from Miami, this feels like on the cheaper end of contracts that the Chargers could have gotten for J.C. Jackson. I think a very big pull for Jackson was playing with the Chargers, a very good team, on top of playing with Derwin James, so I think that might have lessened the impact for the money of getting J.C. Jackson overall. But what you're getting in J.C. Jackson, in my opinion, is arguably the best corner in the game. He is the best corner in terms of ball skills consistently over the last few years. Very few corners in the history of the NFL have started an NFL career with the amount of interceptions and the amount of plays on the football that J.C. Jackson has throughout his first few seasons. From his very first season, he made an impact with the Patriots. 2018, he became the starter, eventually overtaking a good corner in Jason McCourty. The Patriots eventually win the Super Bowl that season. 2019, he gets even better. A dominant number one pass defense alongside the Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore. 2020, he gets even better with Gilmore going out and getting hurt. He steps up as the number one corner and proves that he is truly elite. And in 2021, he was arguably the best corner in the NFL last year and had, I believe, the second most interceptions in the NFL and really never had a bad game all of last year. The only receiver I've ever seen him struggle with is Stephon Diggs. So Chargers fans, note that if you play Stephon Diggs, that might be the guy that gives him some trouble. But other than that, I've never seen him really have trouble in man-to-man situations, which the Patriots have played a lot of man-to-man over the years. But J.C. Jackson is also very good in zone coverage, as he's very good at reading a quarterback and making plays on the football. Quickly breaking and reading and reacting to the ball in the air is what he's best at. So he's good in zone, he's good in man, he's got great ball skills, he's got good size. I believe he's a pretty wide-looking cornerback. He's got, big shoulders, a big upper body, long arms. He's about 6'1", I want to say, and he's physical enough. He's a solid tackler. He's not a great tackler. I don't think he's Jalen Ramsey, but he's a good tackler. So he doesn't really have many weaknesses. The only thing I will say about JC, he probably doesn't offer you the versatility of playing on the perimeter and the nickel position. He's mostly just a perimeter corner from the experience that I've had him watching him in New England. He's never played in the nickel spot, although they do ask in New England that you follow receivers, and he actually has covered tight end in his history, covering Travis Kelce in an AFC Championship game before. So he definitely has experience doing multiple things and having multiple roles. So I think he's certainly worth the money. It sucks to see him leave my team, but I wish him the most success in LA with the Chargers. I think it's a great fit. Brandon Staley gets a true number one lockdown corner for his scheme. He had Jalen Ramsey with the Rams. He now has J.C. Jackson with the Chargers, and that was very important for him to get. And with a number one corner in this day and age, it allows you to do so much because you can stick J.C. Jackson on one receiver and not worry about him. And then meanwhile, you can shift your coverage to other areas and other responsibilities and players. So it's a phenomenal signing for the Chargers, and it's a home run in my opinion. Also, the contract is phenomenal. So I think it's a win all the way around for Jackson and for the Chargers. The other moves that they made today, actually a couple really nice ones that were under the radar, but very nice. They signed Sebastian Joseph Day, the Los Angeles Rams defensive lineman who played his best football under Brandon Staley 2 seasons ago, young interior defensive lineman of the Rams. He doesn't have to go very far. He just travels to the Chargers, which is in the same stadium. Very nice stadium, by the way. 3 years, $24 million contract with $15 million guaranteed. So that's approximately 3 years, 24. That's about, $8 million a year, but $15 million guaranteed. So that's $5 million a year. Sebastian Joseph Day is more so known for his run defense. Pretty solid athlete, though, for his size, and has thrived with the Rams as mostly a run defender. This past season wasn't his best effort, shifting from Staley to Raheem Morris, but in 2020, he was one of the more underrated players at his position, and like I said, still young, so he's developing. I like this move a lot. The contract is also pretty solid, considering, like I said, with Foley Fatukasi, he got 3 years, $30 million, and here Sebastian Joseph Day is about of the same level, maybe even better, and you got him for 3 years, $24 million. So, and it's a guy that you're familiar with and is familiar with you in that system. So that's a very nice signing, helping out one of the biggest weaknesses of the Chargers, which was run defense. Another signing that I really like for the Chargers is Austin Johnson of the Giants, who is expected to sign with the Chargers. I wasn't able to see the contract, but I'm sure it's not a lot. He's mostly going to be a role player for you, but with the Giants, he played pretty well in rotation. He's not a true starter, every down player, but he's another big interior defensive lineman. I would say he's well-rounded, but again, another bigger guy that you're looking to help stop the run. So Austin Johnson is another young player, undervalued, a nice diamond in the rough signing alongside Sebastian Joseph Day that should help just that run defense that was one of the worst in the NFL. So 2 key signings for that run defense today, on top of getting J.C. Jackson. Very nice moves from the Los Angeles Chargers. And I brought this up in a tweet, which is why you should be following me on Twitter. Link is in the description, at Mitch Milani on Twitter. But I said the Chargers should be the AFC favorites. And there's no doubt this is not hyperbole. They are the most talented team in the AFC. They're the most talented team, one of them in the NFL. They have everything that you look for. 2 years, $14 million, says Michael Hart for Johnson. Appreciate that. That's a solid contract, and also not too long, so that's nice. But yeah, he's a good player. It played, I would say, like that third interior defensive lineman role for the Giants a year ago, and will probably do that similar thing with the Chargers. But the Chargers have everything. They've got a left tackle, they've got a center. Brian Bulaga comes back at right tackle, I believe, this year. You've got wide receivers, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Mike Williams resigned. You've got Austin Eckler at running back. It would be nice to see them have a backup running back that they could add. Maybe Melvin Gordon comes back. It would be nice for them to get another receiver, but they did re-sign Jalen Guyton. Tight end would be nice to add as well. But you could look for receiver in the draft as well. Palmer also in his second year should get a little bit better. So you have depth at wide receiver, but upgrading wide receiver 3 is never a bad idea. Certainly could do that. Defensively, you've got 2 great pass rushers and edge rushers, Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. You add to your interior defensive line. You already have Tillery. You've got Austin Johnson, and you've got Sebastian Joseph Day now. And then at linebacker, you got Drew Tranquil. I still think Kenneth Murray's on the team. I don't know how big of a role he's going to play. Then safety, Nasir Adderley's underrated. Derwin James, you got J.C. Jackson, you got Michael Davis, you got Asante Samuel. I mean, that's a really good football team. And of course, you got Justin Herbert, who is a top 5 quarterback. So you've got everything. And I like your coach going into his second year. Should only be better, as this coaching staff should improve in their second year. I think that their right guard position could use work. If you're nitpicking, I'm not sure about right tackle. If Brian Balaga's back, he should be fine. Maybe you look for a swing tackle. Tight end is a big priority. But this stuff could also be addressed in the draft as well. But they're going to continue to pick like these lower tier options like they have here with guys like Austin Johnson at defensive line. So I think the Chargers are stacked. They're ready to go. And I think they are definitely a huge contender in the AFC. And people that are saying this is the Chargers, this is the Chargers, this is the Chargers. No, it's not the Chargers that you know. This is Justin Herbert's time. I mean, he's really special. He is really good. Brandon Staley I like as a coach, and he went through his rough spots as a first-year coach, but I'm sure he'll grow from that. This is a new regime. You can tell there's something different about this team. And they're making really good moves, like really smart, savvy moves. Just the type of moves with Sebastian Joseph Day and Austin Johnson. Like, these are players I like a lot, and they're getting them on good contracts. You're getting elite corners for good contracts. You're getting Khalil Mack. And I also like that they're going with guys that are also mostly familiar with the schemes already, so they're going to be plug and play and ready to go this year. So yeah, I think this is honestly an awesome team, and I'm looking forward to watching the Chargers, and they won't be done this free agency for sure. Let me know if you have any questions about anything else there with the Chargers. I covered the rest of... Did they have any more signings today? I don't know. It just feels like they did. I don't think they did, but... If they did, I covered it already, so... Let's check an update here. Any signings? Just the AJ Can one. Okay. All right. The Jets are next. I think they're only signing today. CJ Uzoma, we covered. Did we cover their guard signing? Lincoln Tomlinson, yes. I think that's it. So I already covered Lincoln Tomlinson. So let's talk about CJ Uzoma. All right. The New York Jets are adding to their receiving core for Zach Wilson, a reliable tight end in CJ Uzoma who could be a little bit undervalued. He decides to leave Cincinnati, which I didn't see coming. I thought he was going to re-sign with the Bengals, but CJ Uzoma does have scheme familiarity. LaFleur runs a similar offense to Zach Taylor, both coming from, obviously, the Sean McVay tree or the Shanahan offensive tree. So there is going to be some familiarity there. But CJ Uzoma is a definite upgrade for the Jets at the tight end position in terms of mostly athleticism. And that's what you're looking for the most from CJ Uzoma. Good move tight end. You can move him around. He can run routes, get open, separate, make plays after the catch. He's good in the screen game. But the most important thing for the Jets, they had guys that could block and could be that number 2 tight end. They had a couple of them last year. But CJ Uzoma is a big improvement in terms of athleticism at this position. Speed, quickness, and just overall being an athlete. That's what CJ Uzoma is going to do at the tight end spot. And be like a guy that you can move around, move into the slot, play inline tight end. And he's going to be a reliable option both on third down, after the catch, and in the red zone for young Zach Wilson. I'm intrigued to see how the Jets are building this receiving core. They signed Corey Davis last offseason. They drafted Elijah Moore. They kept Braxton Berrios, which I also love that they did that. I think he's underrated. And they got CJ Uzoma. They also brought back Tevin Coleman back. Maybe they add a receiver in the draft, but I don't think they've got to do anything huge. They have all the right pieces in place. It's not an absolutely amazing receiving core, but at least it's better than, bad at this point. They've come a long way over the last couple of years of rejuvenating and adding talent to this receiving core. So that's the way to go for a young Zach Wilson. They've spent a lot of money on the offensive line. They're going to be able to protect young Zach Wilson with Lincoln Tomlinson coming to town. You've got left tackle Becton, Elijah Vera Tucker, McDermott at center. So you've got all of these guys that can protect now Zach Wilson, and a receiving core that's well-built and well-rounded, and it's got plenty of different type of players. So I like the way the Jets are building their team, and honestly, from an outside perspective, from a Patriots fan perspective, I look at the Jets as a super underrated team entering next year. They look pretty nice on paper offensively. I'm looking to see if they can upgrade their secondary and potentially their linebacking core for the rest of free agency, and I'm sure they'll look to do that. A lot of safeties are still out there. Some corners are still out there for them to upgrade, but I think the Jets are honestly going to be a more competitive team than people believe, which just adds more depth to the AFC, which is already absolutely loaded. So the Jets get CJ Uzoma, a good, talented player who had his best season of his career last year with Joe Burrow, and should become a focal point of the Zach Wilson attack this season. So CJ Uzoma to the Jets. Okay, so that's CJ Uzoma. We got the Steelers coming up next with Mason Cole, I believe. Mason Cole. Did they get any other signings? I don't know. What's going on, everybody? If you haven't already, make sure that you do Gronk spike the like button. How you doing, Lego Maego? Helen says, hot take, Tom Brady doesn't make it to the Hall of Fame. That is not just a hot take. That is a scorching earth take. That's how hot that take is. Okay. The Steelers. Steelers signed one of my guys that was on my bargain free agency list, actually. Okay. Let's go with Mason Cole. The Pittsburgh Steelers have added to their offensive line in the interior at center. Former Cardinals and Vikings center Mason Cole signs a 3-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mason Cole was actually on my bargain free agents list before Tom Brady ruined that whole live stream by coming back to the NFL. And I know Steelers fans don't want to hear about Tom Brady, but I was going to talk about how Mason Cole was one of my more bargain level free agents out there for the center position. Mason Cole ranked 13th in 2021 at the center position. Very good for Pro Football Focus, which was by far his best season with the Minnesota Vikings a year ago. He mostly spent time in Arizona, where he was below average during his tenure in Arizona. He moved schemes to Minnesota, and it seemed to benefit him quite a bit, playing in more of a zone-heavy scheme, which it appears that Pittsburgh is moving towards offensive linemen that are less power-oriented and more quickness and more feet-oriented, which I think is a staple of their offensive line coach. Mason Cole is certainly that way. He fits what they want in their current offensive linemen. Although it's non-traditional for Pittsburgh, that's the way that it's going to look for them. He had a great run blocking grade a year ago, a bad pass blocking grade last season, but in that run game, if you want a guy to open up the run game for Najee Harris, that's going to be your guy, Mason Cole, on a reasonable 3-year deal. 12th at run blocking a season ago, and only 25 years old. So I think this is a pretty good signing for Pittsburgh. And not one of the big names on the market, but one that I deem to be a bargain for Pittsburgh, which I like the approach so far for the Pittsburgh Steelers on the offensive line. They need to continue to add to the offensive line, though. Adding to guard, adding to tackle is essential for them, but getting a quality under-the-radar name at center in Mason Cole is a good way to start. Okay, Mason Cole is done. Next up, we got the New York Giants. Former Colt Mark Glowinski, and they also signed John Feliciano. Okay, here we go, G-Men fans. Couple offensive linemen coming right up. Something that your boy couldn't do before. Who was their GM again? Who was their old GM? I don't ever remember his name. I can see his face in my mind. Ultra, who is the Giants GM? Guys, if you haven't already, Gronk, spike that like button, subscribe to the channel for more BLV just like this. Okay. Let's get to the New York Giants offensive line additions. Gettleman, thank you. The New York Giants have finally added to their offensive line. It's been a long time coming, but the Giants intend on protecting Daniel Jones this season and giving him a chance in the first year under Brian Daboll in Brian Daboll's system. Like I said before, I told you Giants fans, Brian Daboll is going to try to build the offensive line. He knows what to do. This Bills regime that has come in from Buffalo knows what to do. They're going to build the offensive line. Brian Daboll's Patriot guy, similar roots to Parcells and Belichick. He's going to build that offensive line, and that's exactly what the Giants are doing here. So former Colts guard Mark Glowinski has agreed to terms with the Giants. 3 years, $20 million, $11.4 million guaranteed. Something Gettleman could never achieve. And that's a pretty good deal for Mark Glowinski. Glowinski is a good, solid football player. Is he one of the best guards in the NFL? Absolutely, positively not. But is he bad? Absolutely, positively not. He's right about average. And I don't think he's going to get better than that, but I don't think he's ever going to get worse than that. He's an average football player. He's a pretty good athlete. He's more of a power-based run blocker than he is a zone-based run blocker. He has been really good for the Colts just in terms of stability and, you know, a part of a very good offensive line that's been very successful in running the football. He's been the guard opposite of Quentin Nelson. And 3 years, $20 million, $11.4 million guaranteed for Mark Glowinski, who I believe is 27, 28, somewhere in that range off the top of my head, is a good deal. You know, you look at somebody like Alex Kappa, who I would say is better than Glowinski, but not by a lot. He got 4 years, $40 million from the Bengals. So compare that to 3 years, $20 million with $11.4 million guaranteed. This is a quality contract for a solid, reliable guard for the New York Giants, and that's a good way to start it off for the Giants this free agency, getting a solidified starter at one of your two guard positions and most likely the right guard position. What the Giants also did was sign a former Buffalo Bill. You knew this was going to come. Many thought it was going to be Mitchell Trubisky today, but instead they signed an offensive lineman from the Bills. That is John Feliciano on a 1-year contract. Not a big surprise. He followed Brian Daboll from the Bills to the Giants, but it's a decent signing. Feliciano hasn't been fantastic throughout his career, but he started plenty for the Bills. I wouldn't love him as a starter on my offensive line. I think he's better as a high-end backup, you know, a guy that can play in a pinch if you need him to. but he can be taken advantage of in the pass protection department at times in his past, but he is somebody that's going to be familiar with the scheme and the way that Daboll wants to play and protect. So it makes sense for them to bring him over. And like I said, he's kind of a high-end backup. So he's going to provide you a nice layer of depth. He's going to be able to play for you if you need him to. And he's going to be able to start if you need him to, at least in the short term until you figure out a long-term solution. So these are two nice moves for the Giants, headlined by Mark Glowinski. But John Feliciano is not a bad addition as well to boost and beef up the offensive line for the New York G-Men. There you go, the Giants. The Carolina Panthers are up next. We got a few more signings here. I'm going to add the A.J. Cann signing. A.J. Cann. Lego My Ego, were you in the other streams? Okay, A.J. Cann. I appreciate that, man. We're not glitching right now, right? We're good? We were having a tough time earlier. Helen says Joe Flacco could still be the best quarterback in the NFL if someone gave him a chance. Helen with the scorching earth takes here. Some of the worst football takes I've ever heard in my life. But you got to respect January Joe. You got to. What's life without respecting January Joe? Right? Okay, so we got the Panthers. We've got the Bills still to come. And a few other signings. Taven Bryan, Harrison Phillips, A.J. Cann, some low-key signings. All right, let's go with the Panthers next up. Austin Corbett and Xavier Woods. Okay. The Carolina Panthers have added to their secondary and their offensive line on day one of free agency. The Panthers add safety Xavier Woods, 3-year contract, $15.75 million to Carolina. Woods has started both for the Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings. And I will say this right off top. The Panthers have not exactly been the best with their free agency signings over the last couple of years under this new regime and Matt Rule. And that is totally understandable to be very concerned about these signings. I will say this about Xavier Woods. Is he a phenomenal player? Oh, it's a little bit, I might have to restart. It's a little bit fuzzy. Okay, are we okay now? Don't fuzz up, bro. I'm trying to make a video here for the people, for the Panthers fans. Webcam, don't fuzz. I don't need it in my life. Okay, I'm going to restart this. Everybody act like it happened. It didn't happen. Okay, rewind. Go back. Rewind. Okay, don't fuzz. All right, we're restarting. The Carolina Panthers have added to their secondary and their offensive line Xavier Woods and Austin Corbett. And I'm going to say it right off the top. I understand, Panthers fans, you're going to be a little bit cautious of these new free agents that you sign in the offseason because Matt Rule and company, they have kind of stunk it up when it comes to signing free agents. But Xavier Woods has started for the Cowboys. He started for the Vikings. He's not a phenomenal player, but he is a solid, capable starter in the NFL. And when you look at your safety position last season, Jeremy Chin, Justin Burris, and a lot of other guys. And I will say this, Xavier Woods is an upgrade from Justin Burris. So just from that alone, that is an upgrade That is a check mark. I will give you a pass on this free agency signing. 3 years, $15.75 million. That's not even bad at all. $5 million per year-ish. I'm not exactly sure on the guaranteed money of this contract, but 3 years, $15.75 for a starting capable safety. That's a pretty good deal. Now, in terms of Woods, he has played primarily in zone-heavy systems. Last year with the Vikings, split safety heavy system where the Vikings, under Zimmer, a lot more, I would say, they utilize more cover twos than, let's say, a cover three where you got the post safety in the middle. And Woods has a little bit of versatility and athleticism to play both safety positions of a free safety or a strong safety. So when you look at Chin, he also has that versatility. He's more of the prototypical strong safety, but he also can play free safety. So I think there's a little bit of versatility to utilizing both of these safeties in a variety of ways so that you could use both of these guys mixing in coverages and having them kind of all over the field, which is something that Carolina has done quite a bit under Matt Rule, is play a lot of non-traditional NFL coverages, things that a lot of teams aren't used to seeing coming from the college level, where they mix in some things from the college level that we haven't really seen much in the NFL, which gave the Panthers a little bit of an edge defensively the last couple of seasons. The NFL is going to catch up to these things. They're going to be able to study it. They're going to be able to diagnose it. They already have to a certain degree, but the Panthers have improved on defense year over year and were much better last year. I think this is another upgrade in the secondary department, adding a quality starting center. Like I said, he's not going to be one of the best centers in football, but he is an upgrade from what you had. So Xavier Woods on a manageable 3-year, $15 million deal, good coverage skills, and decent all-around safety. Now, the other signing is the more important one, in my opinion. You got Austin Corbett, who finalized a deal with the Panthers today on day one of free agency. Carolina came into free agency looking for a starting guard, and they got one. So Austin Corbett, from the LA Rams, Super Bowl champions, very highly graded, highly touted guard who is young, who is entering his prime, and this is exactly the type of player that you want to sign. I will say this about Austin Corbett and all Rams offensive linemen in general. I'm always cautious about signing them because of how much better they seem to play under Sean McVay. There is something about Sean McVay's offense and their scheme and their system that makes average players play good and good players play great. And that is something that I will caution you on. But based on his age and based on his production, he is a good football player. So I can't deny. If they feel like they have a fit, then I've got to say that that's a check mark because you needed a guard and you upgraded your guard position. Now, you wouldn't have been in this mess if you didn't mess it up last offseason. But hey, we're here now, and you learn from things, you move forward, and you move on. And Austin Corbett is now the Panthers' offensive guard for 2022 and moving forward. He's better in zone blocking, obviously, coming from the Rams than power blocking schemes, and just overall gives an upgrade for the interior of the Panthers offensive line. Also, pretty good pass protector as well. So everything you like from a guard. He wasn't one of the top guys on the market, but he was like a little bit of a step below. One step below, probably top of tier 2 on the offensive guard market. And the Panthers land a quality starting guard and also a pretty solid starting safety on day one of free agency. DJ Jones to the Broncos. Very interesting. Let's check that out. The Broncos agreed to terms with D-tackle DJ Jones. 3 years, $30 million. What's with the 3 years, $30 million, 20 years, $20 million guaranteed? What's with that contract? Everybody's getting that contract today. He's a good player, though. I like him a lot. He was also on my undervalued. Let me see this. Put this. Put that in my notes. The DJ Jones contract's not a bad contract. Not for him. Maybe for other players. I think it's solid. Light's really shining in my face. It's kind of annoying. Okay, so next up, we got the Buffalo Bills. Tim Settle. Daquan Jones. I already did Roger Saffold. And then I got Harrison Phillips, DJ Jones. I'll do the Bills ones. Mitch Trubisky got a cheap deal. Yeah, it was a good deal for the Steelers. You know why? Probably because it gives him a chance to compete for the starting job. Probably had a lot to do with it. Okay, let me look something up real quick. Any news on Alvin Kamara? I saw something about he could be traded. That's all I saw, though. Okay. Tim Settle, who is 25 entering the season. Okay. The Buffalo Bills have made a couple moves to upgrade their interior defensive line. They let Harrison Phillips walk to the Minnesota Vikings, but they did add 2 players to the interior D line on top of adding Roger Saffold to their offensive line. The first of which was Tim Settle. Very under the radar, diamond in the rough name here from the Washington football team, aka the Washington Commanders. A 2-year contract with the Buffalo Bills. Tim Settle is a young player. He's only 25 entering this season, and he is the exact type of player that I like to sign on these little cheap contracts that the Bills do right here. Bills are very savvy at finding these type of players for very cheap that can help their team. And Settle's just going to be another nice piece to your deep defensive line rotation for 2022. He had 5 sacks 2 seasons ago, so not this year, but last year, so 2020, 5 sacks when he was in a bigger role with Washington. But the primary problem for Settle has been he has been behind a lot of good players, Daron Payne, Matt Ioannidis, and Jonathan Allen. So he's been the 4th player in that rotation. He hasn't seen a lot of time playing in Washington. So now in Buffalo, he's going to see a bigger role. Not to say that he's not super talented. He is. This is a move that reminds me of, let's say, somebody like Roy Robertson Harris from the Chicago Bears, where it's a player you're taking a chance on them. They've got some upside. When they play, they've shown flashes, and when they filled in for injuries and things like that, they've shown they can start in this league, and that's the exact thing that I see with a Tim Settle here, where he is signed to a cheap contract for a contending team in one of their weak spots, could potentially help build up that weak spot, and has potential as a young player. So I like that addition quite a bit. On top of adding the young player with potential, they add a older player who is solid, starting caliber, just you know what he is. And that's Daquan Jones, formerly of the Titans and last year of the Carolina Panthers. Had a pretty good year last year as a interior defensive lineman for the Panthers. For a long time, he's been just a very capable, average interior defensive lineman, good run defender, and pretty much will take the spot of Harrison Phillips on your defensive line. He adds a little bit more size, I would say, than Harrison Phillips, at least the way that I picture him in my mind. He's got more length to him. I think he's a taller individual, a bigger overall human being. So he's going to take up more size and more length on that defensive line to help you out against those run-heavy teams of the Colts that you struggled with last year. You had problems with the Patriots in your own division in a couple games there against the run. So he's going to help you upgrade that run-heavy approach for your D-line. And Tim Settle's going to add to your pass rushing in that department as well. On top of getting Roger Saffold, these aren't huge, big names, but these are quality signings for the Buffalo Bills, who are looking to contend for a Super Bowl in 2022. Okay. There we go. Should I do DJ Jones next? I'll do DJ Jones next. My boy. DJ Jones. Hold on. He was on my bargain free agency list too, I think. Okay. Let's just put this right here. There we go. The Denver Broncos have signed one of my favorite interior defensive linemen free agents. That is DJ Jones of the San Francisco 49ers, who I had on my bargain free agents list. And he actually became a little bit more expensive because I guess the secret was out on DJ Jones of how good of a football player he is. He showcased it in the playoffs. He had a very good regular season and had overall his best season of his young NFL career in 2021 as a part of the 49ers. Beside Eric Armstead on the inside and really that dominant D tackle that took place of DeForest Buckner since he's left to the Indianapolis Colts. They were a very good D-line, big reason they went to the NFC Championship. DJ Jones was absolutely a huge part of that. He started every game for the Niners since 2019, which is 42 games. The best ability is availability, they always say, and that's the case with DJ Jones. DJ Jones doubled his career high in tackles this season as well, making plays, a ton of them, in the run game. 50% of snaps in 2021, so still not an every down player, but a very efficient role player for the 49ers, and the Niners love to rotate players, so his role might be expanded in Denver if they like to play him more overall. Maybe his snaps go up to 60-70%. I could see that being a potential thing with him. I'm certainly thinking that he's capable of that. It's just that San Francisco had so much depth on their D-line that they were able to keep those guys fresh at 50%. He was 18th in interior defensive line PFF grade in 2021, which means he was top 20 at his position. And then he was also, which is most impressive here, second in the NFL in run stops for 2021. So a very dominant run defender, but also a guy that can get after the quarterback and collapse a pocket and use his power to be able to run down a center and put that center in the lap of an opposing quarterback. So DJ Jones on a contract of 3 years, $30 million, $20 million guaranteed. Very nice contract for the Broncos, a team that's looking to replace Shelby Harris, who they traded to Seattle in part for Russell Wilson. They get the guy to do so, who might even be an upgrade long-term from Shelby Harris, DJ Jones. There's your DJ Jones signing, guys. Yo, what's up, Becca? How you doing? Nice to see you in the chat once again. Becca's been sliding in the DMs. Mostly just talking crap about Mitch Trubisky, but it's all good. Afix says, is John Lynch going to do anything, man? I know it's early, but players are getting signed like crazy. He'll do something. They're going to sign a corner, watch. They'll sign a corner. DJ Jones went to the Broncos, Becca. Okay, let's talk about... I only got a few more left here. Harrison Phillips to the Vikings. $3 years, $19.5 million. Okay, let's do Harrison Phillips. Quick. The Minnesota Vikings are adding some more size to their interior defensive line. They already have a couple huge individuals on the D-line. I'm talking about Tomlinson and Pierce. But they're adding another big dude, Harrison Phillips from the Buffalo Bills. And it's an interesting maneuver here. I wonder their plan on the D-line moving forward. Maybe they're looking to play more of a three-man interior D-line with Phillips, Tomlinson, and Pierce. That could possibly be the way they're going here. But Harrison Phillips' 3-year contract, $19.5 million, was one of the key pieces for the Buffalo Bills run defense a year ago. So much so that the Bills immediately responded in signing Daquan Jones today on day one of free agency. I look at Harrison Phillips as an underrated player that was available on the market. A pretty darn good run defender overall, and really took place of Williams, the former Bill who's great for a very long time, as that unsung hero at eating up space and allowing guys like Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds to flow to the football. He's a pretty one-dimensional player, though. You're not really looking for him to sack the quarterback and create a ton of pressure. He'll use his power and his bull rush to win and to get to the quarterback, but that's not really his big skill set. His skill set is taking up space and making life hard on opposing interior linemen to push him out of the way so that they can defend the run. And that's exactly what you're getting here in Harrison Phillips. So a solid contract for a quality run defender. And again, when you compare him to the rest of the guys that have been signed today, Florenzo Fatukazi, who's also kind of a run defender, 3 years, $30 million. We talked about another one earlier in Daquan Jones, who got signed. And there's been a few more throughout free agency. With the Chargers, they signed Sebastian Joseph Day, 3 years, $24 million. So Harrison Phillips gets a little bit cheaper than Sebastian Joseph Day, which sounds about right to me. 3 years, $19.5 million. Good quality role player for Minnesota on the defensive line. Okay. Eddie says Tampa Bay win the Super Bowl. All right, guys. I think I am done all of the latest signings. So if you guys want to ask any questions or whatever, we can have some fun for a bit, and then I'll get off. This is my third live stream of the day, so I appreciate you guys joining me and all the support, super chats, the Gronk spikes, and everything. If you guys haven't already, I left the TikTok link pinned to the top of the live comments, so please do follow the TikTok. I'm trying to get that going. It's actually kind of addictive to make TikToks now. I've been doing it for free agency, and they're very quick and easy, and it seems like some people are enjoying them. I know a lot of people are watching the Brady video, so make sure that you go follow it at the Bottom Line View, same name as the YouTube. You can also follow me on Twitter, as I've been reacting to all of the latest moves. Pretty much whenever I have a thought about something that's going on in the NFL, I tweet it, so you can follow me on Twitter. Everything is in the description, at Mitch Milani on Twitter. Eddie says, now that Brady's back, is the tight end coming back, Gronk? Yes. Yes. Biggest W for the day. Well, technically Tampa's biggest W was yesterday, So I'm going to say biggest W today was the Chargers getting J.C. Jackson and adding a couple nice run defenders for their defense. Sebastian Joseph Day was a nice one. So I think, I think they got a big dub. If Jacksonville was smarter with their money, I would say they improved a lot, but they did give some pretty bad contracts. Who else? I like what the Bengals did, adding 2 offensive linemen to help protect Joe Burrow. Yeah, overall, I would probably say the Chargers had the biggest dub today. Who's going to land Wagner? I want it to be the Cowboys, to be honest with you, because I don't think it's going to be New England. So I'm going to say I want it to be the Cowboys because I just think that would be cool, but I don't know. Maybe the Ravens. There's a lot of teams interested, apparently, around 10 teams. So we'll see. Nicholas wants the Bears to get Armstead. Do you think they're interested? I've heard Miami, and I also heard the Colts for Armstead. I did not hear the Bears. Are you disappointed in the Bears so far, Nicholas, or what do you think? You like Ogunjobi signing? Is that the only signing they made today? I think so. I don't know why, but NFL Network is on in my background, and they're playing Week 1 Tampa Bay versus Dallas. Natasha says Lego Maega knows what's up. Gronk spiked the like button. Lego Maego always knows what's up. Nicholas says Bears have a ton of money. They got to do something with it. I thought they were going to get a receiver, bro. What happened? Hawks should get Minshew. I would like the Hawks or the Colts to get Minshew. One of those teams should get Minshew. Lego Maego says, think Matt Nagy is hurting the Chiefs organization and Mahomes from getting exceptional talent. I don't think so. I just think they're struggling with the money, so I think they're going to have to sign some lower-end free agents. That's kind of what I'm thinking with the Chiefs. They just don't have the money to spend on big names. And usually the first day is about the big names. Although there are a lot of big names still available for day 2. So look out for that. Eddie says, does Gronk come back to Tampa? Absolutely. I'd be shocked if he didn't. If he doesn't, it's because he retires. Nicholas says, wasn't a huge fan of the Joby deal. Would have rather re-signed Nichols. Thought that the Mac trade was low value. I understand Cohen, Goldman cuts. I think that's fair. Dylan says, what do you think about if A-Rob signed with New England? I'd be pretty excited about that. I like Allen Robinson. I've always liked Allen Robinson, actually. I remember picking him in fantasy before he was good. I remember having that exciting feeling probably when was that? 2014, 2013? He had a breakout year that year. So I've always liked Allen Robinson for a very long time. It is concerning, though, that he did have a dip in his play last year, so I wouldn't want to sign him to a huge contract. If we were to get him, I'd be a little bit concerned about the money, but I do think he still can play, and I think he would help Mac a lot. So, yeah, I'd like it. I'm not desperate for a receiver, though, to be honest with you. I'd like for them to draft one. I'm intrigued by DJ Chark. And I wouldn't mind a couple lower end receivers in free agency as well, or to trade for a receiver. If the Texans got Brandon Cooks available, I would look to trade for him. Scott says, what's up, Mitch? Glad I timed you live. Scott, I've been live 3 times today, brother. So I'm glad that you were able to make one. Bolt up. Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate that, man. Broncos are finally a solid team after 6 years. It's been a long time since Peyton Manning. A long time. Good old Peyton. Dylan says, when do the Pats pick? That's actually a good question. I don't even know what pick they have, but it's in the 20s. I want to say it's lower 20s, like 21, something like that. Lyle Collins to the XFL. I think it's just getting started, Becca. I don't know if it's just getting started, but Deshaun Watson still got to get traded. Still a lot of free agents out there. Still a lot of trades that could happen. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be many more trades tonight. I'm just here just to talk. I pretty much covered every trade already, or every move already, I should say. What is the new Cowboys wide receiver 3? That's a good question. We don't know. Maybe a rookie. Because Wilson signed with the Dolphins and Cooper got traded, so I'm not really sure. Arthur, what's up, man? He says, what's up, Mitch? The Lions have been oddly quiet. I feel like they've got something big brewing right now in the works. We'll see, Arthur. We'll see, man. I know Lions fans were all over me for not having them sign every free agent in my free agency prediction. So, but yeah, I mean, I would look for them to sign at least one guy to some pretty substantial money. Maybe they're looking to add a safety. There's still a lot of corners out there, so maybe a cornerback. I mean, receivers kind of already getting kind of beat up. There's a lot of receivers gone already. So I'm not sure if receivers going to be the way they go. They might look to the draft for that. So I would expect if they go big, it will be defense. What do you think about the Chargers moves? I love them. I think the Chargers have hit a home run today. Not only on J.C. Jackson, but the lower end guys as well are very quality contracts and good quality low end players. Watson to New Orleans, Jimmy to Indy. Yeah, Watson to New Orleans. Watson to Carolina, I think could happen too, though. I would prefer... My friend, by the way, one of my best friends, is a Panthers fan. And he does not want Watson. He does not want Watson. So... I don't know. Maybe we'll say New Orleans for his sake. Because he said he might revoke his fandom and become a Chargers fan if Watson signs. So that's how down bad he is right now. I was a big Lions guy in that era, Nick. Jason Verrett to the Lions? I think any team that signs Jason Verrett, it will be a deal. Because Jason Verrett's going to go for very cheap money. And you know that if he plays, which is a big if, he'll be good. But it's a big if. Jay says, I'm anxious to who Seattle is going to bring in for a quarterback. What are your predictions? I think they're going to draft one. And then they'll sign a free agent. So I'm going to say, let's say they draft Willis and they sign one of the free agents. I would like to see Minshew, though. That would be cool. Chargers Super Bowl contender in 2022. No, that is legit. That shouldn't be a hot take. Arthur says Lions are a sneaky team to watch for. Watson, Mitch, don't laugh. Yeah, I'm laughing. We have an awesome staff and front office and have plenty of draft capital. Sure, but Watson has rejected every... I read a report today. This isn't just me like bullshitting. I read a report today that says that Watson has rejected every team except for the Saints and the Panthers. So the only teams I know that are legitimately in the sweepstakes are the Saints and the Panthers. What do you think about the Bills' free agency? Nothing special, but it's solid so far. I like the Saffold signing a lot. I was a little surprised that they let go of Darrell Williams, but I like the Daquan Jones, Tim Settle signings. I talked about them a little bit earlier. I think they're pretty solid, and I'll release a video at some point about that. He doesn't want Watson because he doesn't like him because of his accusations. And it's hard to cheer for somebody like that, to be honest with you. Randy Gregory to Denver. Interesting. The only thing the Colts did was re-sign Mo Alley Cox. Oh, okay. The Colts are driving me insane, dude. They have like quadrillion dollars to spend. Like quadrillion, canamillion dollars. Like so many dollars. And they don't spend money. Did they ever spend money? The Colts drive me insane. Arthur says Aaron Wilson came out and said just not too long ago that the interviews with the Saints and Panthers are over and there are more teams to come. He's extremely incredible. All right, well, we'll see. Becca says you don't want a problematic person on your team, especially your quarterback. Look at what AB did to the Steelers. Look at what AB did to the Bucks, Becca. He left the field, took his jersey off, took his pants off, took his shirt off, ran around the field streaking. Single-handedly took a Super Bowl away from him. Chandler Jones? Which team? They gotta make a move, Odd Big King. I'm done with it. Like, dude, make a move. Scott says, will the offensive lineman that the Bengals picked up take the line to the next level, or do they need another signing plus a draft pick or two? Well, they don't have a right tackle right now, but they got a left tackle. They've got two guards, so they still got work. They got to look at free agency, determine what they're going to do at right tackle, and then that will kind of decide things from there. So yes, they still need work, but they're doing better. I like the signings, and they're definitely upgrades from what they had. Do you think the biggest spenders are the biggest losers? Not always. Sometimes. It depends. If you spend a lot for really, really good players, then no. But if you spend too much for average players, then usually you're going to lose. Lenny, don't be down bad like that, bro. You're fine. You got the great Derek Carr. Do I think that they can land Bobby Wagner and Von Miller? Though they have the money to do so. And if Russ can somehow convince Bobby, then sure. But I only feel like they could potentially get one of those guys, probably. All right. That is it for me tonight, guys. We will see you tomorrow. Hopefully you tune in tomorrow. I'll be live tomorrow breaking down more moves for March 15th, Tuesday. Thanks, guys, for the support today. Appreciate everybody joining in on the chat. And again, don't forget to follow the TikTok. Link is in the description. Follow me on Twitter. Link is in the description. Follow on Instagram. Link is in the description. And Gronk Spike the notification bell to be notified when I do go live next. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Mitch. Peace.